and welcome. Have you ever thought about the importance of vision, your vision for your love life? Well, it just may be that if you haven't had exactly what you wanted in terms of a relationship up to this point, the key to getting that for you just might be having 20/20 vision about your love life. I'm Marchant Johnson with Love Life Coaching, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this topic today because it's something I'm really passionate about because I know it makes a difference in you having what you want. And this is the perfect opportunity to talk about 20/20 vision for your love life. And it all starts with you. And that's the good news because the more clarity you have about your vision of yourself and what you want and need, what your values are, those kinds of things, the more clarity you can have as you're out there meeting people, getting to know people, dating people, and exploring whether or not a relationship has the potential to go the distance. So I'm going to use a few notes today because I have some really important things that I want to convey and I don't want to forget anything. So first of all, to get started, when I think about vision, vision is something that is a really big deal to me. I've always been a bit vision challenged when it comes to my eyesight. I got Coke bottle glasses when I was like 7, 8 years old. I got my first set of contacts when I was 12. I've always needed some kind of vision correction, and I really cannot see well without some vision correction. But the kind of vision that I'm talking about today is a vision for what you most want in life and what you most want in love. And vision is so important because it's what leads you and guides you and helps you to go through the disappointments, the heartaches, the lumps and bumps that you might experience as you go along in your dating life and search for love. So a couple of things here. First of all, the dictionary definition of vision is the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. I love that. Imagination and wisdom is what we're tapping into. Now, they say that 20/20 vision is ideal vision. That's a visual acuity measurement, as you know. And we've also always heard the idea that hindsight is 20/20. So what that means is basically that you can look back in hindsight about your life or your love life, and you can see things that now seem obvious or clear, but they weren't necessarily obvious or clear when you were going through them. And so we can often look back in our love lives and we can see real or perceived mistakes that we may have made, where we may have gotten off track, mistaken judgment. We might have felt like our picker was off, or we weren't clear in some way, or we stayed in the wrong relationship some way for some reason, or we ignored the red flag warning signs. And in hindsight, that all seems perfectly clear. But what I want to do today is to give you some keys, some things to think about in regards to yourself that hopefully can help you to have that 20/20 vision more in the present and not just in hindsight. Because wouldn't it be nice if you could skip some of those painful, difficult experiences, even though we may have learned something from them? Now, I want you to have this perspective too. I want you to have a perspective about what may have happened in the past, which is take and glean the lessons and the wisdom from those things. We used the word wisdom earlier, but don't beat yourself up about them. Forgive yourself. Know that you were doing the best that you could. Forgive others so that you can have the present and create the future that you desire, so that you can do what it said here when I read this, have the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. The reason this is so important, I love this quote by Alanya Van Zandt. She said, "If you don't have vision, you're going to be stuck in what you know." So if we want to make the present and the future clearer, better, bolder, bigger, more beautiful, we don't want to stay stuck in what we know. And she goes on to say, And the only thing you know is what you've already seen. So we want to be able to see new things, have a new perspective, have that 2020 vision in the present in order to create the future that you truly desire. And I believe that it all really starts with you from within. And there's some key things that you need to know about yourself in order to be ready to receive and create and to have clarity about who might be right for you, where you might have a match, and where you might not, so that you're not wasting precious, precious time and energy and investing in the wrong places. I know that's one of our biggest fears as we go through life. We don't want to waste our precious life energy in the wrong places. And so that's one of the reasons this clarity of vision is so important. So with all of that as an introduction, what I've done is I've taken the word vision and I've given each letter a word associated with that letter that I think can help guide you to some essential information about yourself that can help you have vision about not only yourself, but about who might be right for you and where there might be a match. So the first letter of the word vision is V, and that stands for values. What are your values? And the dictionary definition of values is one's judgment of what is important in life. Now that's a simplistic definition, but it's also clear. What is really most important to you in life? Now, for many of you, if you have heard me speak before, or if you're in my Meet Him and Keep Him private coaching, or my Mr. Right Academy group coaching program, or have spoken with me personally, you might know that I often recommend this wonderful book that is called 8 Dates. And in 8 Dates, I'm not an affiliate for this book or anything, I just love it. In 8 Dates, they talk about the importance of shared values in relationships and say that it can actually be even more important than shared interests. Yes, it's important and fun to have shared interests, but values tend to be areas where there tend to be the most conflict or breakdown in relationships if there's not some key shared values. And in the book, it actually recommends that at some point when you're dating, not necessarily 8 dates in a row, or as you're getting to know someone, or even if you're in a relationship, you have conversations around some key areas, 8 key areas, to see if you have shared values and to have a deeper understanding of each other in this way. And the first one is like trust and commitment, addressing conflict is number 2. Sex and intimacy is number 3. Work and money is number 4. Family is number 5. Fun and adventure is number 6. Growth and spirituality is number 7. And dreams is number 8. And so basically, this gives you a model to follow to give you a guide to have these kinds of conversations around these things. And the reason this is so important is, for example, if you value saving money, being financially secure, having a retirement nest egg, and you meet someone who is more freewheeling with their spending and haven't really saved or prepared or isn't in that kind of mode, that could become a big source of conflict. If you're someone who wants to have travel and adventure be a part of your life and someone else is more of a homebody, that could be a source of conflict. If you are deeply religious or spiritual and have a practice that is really important to you and meaningful and a big part of your worldview and someone else doesn't, that can be a challenge. So these things can be a source of conflict, just as an example, if you don't have these shared values. So it's important for you to first start by knowing what your deepest core values are. And in my programs and coaching, I have a series of exercises that I take my clients through that help them to discover this. But this is really, really important that you start with knowing your own values, because then you can, as you get to know someone, explore some of these things and see if you have some of those key shared values that are much more likely to set you up for a successful relationship and much less likely to cause conflict. So the first thing to know about yourself is your values. The second letter in vision is I. And the word that I've chosen for the letter I is inspires. This kind of goes along with values, but it's kind of a little bit different too. It's like, what really lights you up? What really inspires you? What are you really passionate about? The definition in the dictionary was to exert an animating, enlivening, or exalting influence on. And I think this is a really fun one and exciting one to explore too, because I've had many men tell me that one of the things that really attracted them to the woman that they partnered with or married was that she was so lit up and excited and passionate about something, whatever that was, or many things. And it's important for you to be having those kinds of experiences in your life that really light you up and bring you joy and inspire you, because that allows you to be living in a way that really can invite in and attract the right kind of person for you. So the I word that I have for you is inspires. The next letter in vision is S, and the word I chose for S was standards. What are your standards? This is not just standards in terms of like what you expect or want from a man, although that is certainly part of it and how you want to be treated. This is like your standard of excellence for yourself, how you want to show up in the world, who you want to be, who you want to show up as in terms of your integrity, in terms of how you deal with other people, in terms of your self-growth, the things that you're committed to. What are your standards for yourself? The definition in the dictionary was a level of excellence or quality. And this, like I said, is for yourself, how you want to be treated, how you show up, and how you expect someone else to show up. And I really do believe that standards are sexy, boundaries are sexy. These are all kind of tied together, and that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But if you know what your standards are for yourself, for your life, for who you are and how you want to show up in the world and how you want someone else to show up for you, this helps you to have the vision and clarity to help you to navigate dating and to be able to recognize more who may or may not be a great fit for you. The next letter in vision is I, and the word that I chose for I is intimacy. Now, I want you to think for a minute, like, what is your definition of intimacy? And I don't just mean sexual intimacy. Certainly that's the connotation that we think of most frequently when we think of intimacy, and certainly that's an essential part of it. But there are also other kinds of intimacy. There's emotional intimacy. There's spiritual intimacy. There's intellectual intimacy. Like, if you could have what you really wanted in love, what kind of intimacy would be most deeply satisfying for you? These are really important things to think about, because if you desire this kind of intimacy with someone, it's good to know what that would look like. It's good to have that vision of what that would look like and feel like. Now, I will say there's no one person on the planet that can fulfill all of your needs. We don't want the pressure on us of needing to fulfill every single need a partner or a man has. And no man is going to fulfill every single need that you have. But I can tell you that it's really important to have more than one of these things. Like, for example, it's not really satisfying to have only the sexual intimacy and to not have any of these other kinds of intimacy. Or it's not very satisfying to just have intellectual conversations and be intellectually stimulated with a long-term romantic partner without having some of these other kinds of intimacy. So it's important to think about what that looks like for you, what you would really want and desire, and what your definition of love and intimacy really is. The next letter in vision is O. And this is an important one, and the word that I've chosen for O is offer. What do you offer? What do you bring to the table? What makes you unique? What would make you appealing, and what would make you the best potential partner for someone else? This is because I believe that one of our missions in life, with or without a partner, is to continually be growing and being committed to our own self-growth and expansion. Because as we do, it opens up a whole new possibility, not only in life, but often in whom we're able to partner with and whom we're able to attract. And often I find that women are really good at being their own worst critics. They're not always the best at giving themselves credit for all of the beautiful, wonderful qualities that they bring to the table. So one exercise that I often invite my private clients and group coaching clients to do is an exercise called Great Things About Me. And this is not the time to be humble, because it's important to remind yourself sometimes of the qualities and characteristics that you possess, the feminine qualities, the unique individual qualities that you possess that would be likely to attract the right man for you. And so I have my clients, and I invite you to do this, to ask at least 3 people that you consider to be your very biggest fans to share with you particularly specific things that they admire, respect, appreciate, and love about you. And I invite you to invite them to go deep. So instead of just saying, well, you're a great friend, you could say, thank you so much. What do you think makes me a good friend? So that you really get that feedback from them, and you receive that feedback graciously and thankfully, and you can internalize that and remind yourself of some of those key qualities. But it's really good to get that kind of feedback, because sometimes we have a hard time giving it to ourselves. And we sometimes don't see our own beauty and magnificence because we're so close to ourselves and we're so used to seeing the flaws and imperfections and being our own worst critics. That's a whole nother topic in and of itself too. But being able to see what you offer and bring to the table is really important, just to remind yourself so that you can stay centered in your own value and remember that that value is not dependent upon what someone else sees or doesn't see in you. The definition of offer is to present or proffer something for someone to accept or reject as so desired. So you are offering yourself to the world, meaning that you are showing up in the world as you. And I believe if you do that in a confident and clear way, being centered in knowing what you have to offer, the right kind of people are likely to be attracted to you, and you will be able to also be able to determine if they might be right for you as well. Okay, so now we're to N, which is the last word in vision, and this is need. It's important to know what you need. Now, there's a distinction here between needs and wants, and it's really important to be clear about what your needs are. Like, what do you really need to be satisfied and happy? And sometimes a way to look at this is what would be the things that would really be essential for you to have, otherwise you would be very unhappy or dissatisfied with. You could never be happy. Sometimes we call those things deal killers if they're not there. So the dictionary definition is to have need of or require. It's important for you to know what you really need to be happy. And I find that many women don't really know what would really make them happy on a deep enough level. It's really important to think about this and know what your absolute need to haves are. There's the needs to haves, there's the wants to have, and then there's the nice to haves. And you need to think about those and be clear about what your absolute need to haves are. So that's an important thing to think about too. So just as a quick review, V is for values, knowing your own values. I is for inspires, what inspires you. S is for standards. What are your standards for yourself, for a relationship, for how you need someone else to show up? Intimacy. What is your definition of love and intimacy, and what kinds of intimacy are most important to you? Offer. What do you offer and bring to the table? Who are you? What makes you unique? What makes you the person that a man would want to be with? And the N is for need. What do you really need on a deep core level in order to be happy? And I believe that if you can answer these questions and you can go deep with this and get a deeper clarity about yourself in this way than you've ever had before, I believe this can serve as a guide for you to help you to have that 2020 vision in the present so that you can create the future that you want and not just have 2020 vision in terms of hindsight. So, I kind of want to close out with this quote, and this is by Les Brown. He says, "It takes someone with a vision of the possibilities to attain new levels of experience." We're talking about having new levels of experience in love. And then he says, "Someone with the courage to live their dreams." Ladies, this is a great opportunity for you to refine your 2020 vision for love. I'm sending you love, blessings, and holding that vision in my heart and mind for you to have the love that you desire. And I'll see you soon. Please be sure to like this video if you like it. Hopefully you do. Leave a comment below. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm looking forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.